Hello friends, this is Meenakshi. Welcome to yet another episode of Soccer Stories. Today, let's witness the interesting events that took place in the 1974 World Cup. Dutch win hearts, but Germans steal the cup. It was all about total football. Johan Cruyff, the Dutch, the bomber Kaiser and the Germans in 1974. That should sum up that year's World Cup hosted by West Germany, though the final result could have been different in more ways than one. With Brazil having taken permanent possession of the Ultimate Trophy, FIFA was forced a new trophy and the tournament from 1974 would come to be known as the FIFA World Cup. The new one was created by Silvio Gazzaniga, made out of 18-karat gold and the green ring layers on the lower part out of malachite. That apart, FIFA also came out with a new ruling that the new trophy would go into permanent possession to any team whether it won it thrice or not. The qualifiers for the tournament was attended by a record 98 entries, what with Australia, East Germany, Haiti and Zaire making the grade for the first time into the final rounds, played between June 13 and July 7 in a new format. This dictated that the initial group matches that would be followed by a second phase of 8 teams, followed by the third place losers final and the final. No quarterfinal or semi-finals were played. And as in 1954 in Bern, the West Germans once again proved worthy winners as they rallied from behind to eke out a surprise win over the pre-tournament favourites. If it was Hungary which started the edition in Switzerland as the overwhelming favourite before losing to a fighting West Germany, the home team this time around swallowed up the Netherlands, on which a majority of the footballing world had put their money on. Noticeably, there was one or more reason for the pundits to believe that the Dutch would come through quite comfortably, the team under Rinus Michels having borrowed total football from the famed Ajax FC and perfected it in the company of his key player, the flamboyant Johan Cruyff. The genius in Cruyff under this system was not confined to a singular position. He was given the freedom to roam around the pitch that helped the Dutch to undress rival defences at will. However, it was not Cruyff was not alone on the task. In fact, total football strategy centered around the entire team. For it to work properly, a player who moved out of position was replaced by a teammate, making anyone an attacker or defender. Pressure on the ball and finding space where the defense gives it were two of the main tenets. It did work wonderfully well, but alas, in the final everything went awry as the West Germans came back roaring. Indeed, it was particularly impressive the manner in which the home team rebounded, especially after the shock defeat by a solitary that the side suffered against East Germany in the group phase. With there being no knockout, it was a do-or-die battle for all the teams in the fray needed to pick up crucial points to get into the second phase. Eventually, it was West Germans, the Dutch, the Brazilians, Pelé less though, East Germans, the Argentinians, the Polish, the Swedes and the Yugoslavs who made the two groups of the second round. The Dutch made it to the final with a clean slate in the second round of group matches, its crucial encounter against the Brazilians turning out to be a rather sordid affair. The three-time champion involved itself in thuggery rather than its solid all-round game that had inspired the world 4 years ago. In the other group, the total discipline displayed by the West Germans stood them in good stead as Beckenbauer, Müller, Vogts and Meyer came up with an outstanding display. The side which 2 years prior had won the European champions in style handsomely won against both Sweden and Yugoslavia before showing Poland its due place, but with a bit of struggle in the last league match. The final between the Netherlands or the Orange side as it is known worldwide and the host West Germans began with a bang. The Dutch gained a penalty in the first minute itself and converted for a 1-0 lead through Johan Neckens after Cruyff was brought down by Uli Hoyn. The final between the Netherlands or the Orange side, as it is known worldwide, and the host West Germans began with a bang. The Dutch gained a penalty in the first minute itself and converted for a 1-0 lead through Johan Neeskens after Cruyff was brought down by Uli Hoyn. With none from its ranks unable to touch the ball until then, the West Germans indeed were left stunned by the sudden turn of events. The Dutch, buoyed by the success, was to arrogantly roll the ball between themselves for the next 25 minutes, making pretty patterns and under no threat whatsoever from the West Germans. However, the home side did keep its cool all the while and was to turn successful in negating the Dutch lead when Huijsenbeen was stripped inside the goal area by Jensen. And when Müller made it 2-1 with a peach of goal just before half-time, the West Germans were on top of the world, clearly knocking off the wits out of the Dutch. With Vogs involved in marking the dangerous Cruyff, Beckenbauer astutely marshalling the defence with all the resources at his command, Rainer Bonhoff spurring the midfield to fire on all cylinders to aid Müller up front, the West Germans were able to hang on to the lead until success came their way. Without a word of mention on the majestic Gerd Müller, this story would be left incomplete. Of course, Müller never showed the prime form that he had displayed in 1970, knocking in an astounding 10 goals en route to grabbing the Golden Boot award. The West Germans still proved that he was a force to be reckoned with in 1974 as well. It was the pocket-sized forward who shaped the German counter-attack after the equalizer and helping his side to surge ahead, firing in the winner. Nicknamed Bomber der Nation, the nation's bomber, or simply Der Bomber, Müller was a class act and with the 4 goals in 1974 would remain on the top of the World Cup scoring charts for a record 32 years. Stay tuned to Striking Seconds for more soccer stories. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel. Hasta la vista.